What's up, everybody? Welcome to the RRBG podcast. I'm here with Erica Lindbeck. How are you?
Hello. I'm good. How are you? Well, I'm alive. That's my new
Girl,
answer, is I'm alive.
I'm still here.
The bar is low, right, these
Mm,
days for what is like okay.
yeah, it's strange. It's mental health has become like a bigger concern.
Oh.
Which I mean, it was kind of a big concern before the pandemic, but now it's just kind of like a major concern, I think, for
Oh,
a lot of people.
yeah, I mean, I actually read this really great tweet in a sea of not really great tweets, but I read one really great tweet that was talking about how we should actually technically be expecting 40% less productivity from everybody right now. But for some reason, it seems like 140% is expected. Because you can only sustain, like, I actually, my dad's a surgeon, and he was talking about how they have a new chief of staff, and she has a background in psychology, and she was explaining to them that at the beginning of this pandemic, we all kind of had like a fight or flight reaction, right? So some of us got really scared, and some of us got really like, yeah, you know what? We're all in this together. We're gonna kick this thing in the ass, and it's all gonna go back to normal. But because it's been going on for so long, a gazelle can only sustain fight or flight for so long before it just goes, you know what? Fuck it. I'm done. I'm just gonna die now. Like, you
Yeah,
can have me. And that's kind of where we're all at. Like, nobody can sustain. We still have all of the stress, but we have none of the energy anymore to
yeah,
either to like, yeah, to deal with it. So that's kind of what's going on. And I think that perfectly described how I was feeling, because I personally feel so like creatively uninspired. I'm super lucky to still be able to work right now.
mhm,
But I mean, it's so hard for me to like have to get into the booth and emote because I don't have a lot in the tank, just on principle these days.
right. No,
Yeah.
I agree. I feel you because at first, like you said, I think it was March when it all
Yeah.
started locking down. I
Yeah.
was like, oh, this is great.
Yeah.
'Cause I've been going hard for a long time, so I
Yeah.
need a little bit of a break, catch up on some
Mhm.
shows, catch up on some movies, and then like May, June, and it's like July. Like I'm just dragging like a zombie.
Yeah.
trying to-
I think there's like this pervasive general malaise around everybody right now.
Mm,
Everybody is just so tired. Like, I am so tired all the time, and it doesn't matter how much sleep I get. It's just that underlying stress that's almost become a latent stress, because we're so used to living in it that we don't realize that we're under a lot more stress than we were like 6 months ago before all this happened.
yeah, yeah. I was gonna bring it up, but you brought it up the fact that you're still working now
Mm,
during this time, and
yeah.
are you going into a booth or did you have a home studio set up?
So basically, what happened with me was there was a part of me when this started, and I was like, "Oh, 3 months, great. I'm not even gonna upgrade my booth. I'm just gonna like sit and hang out." I was lucky enough, like I had enough put away that I was like, "I'll be fine. I'll just wait," because most things I know are gonna get pushed,
Mm,
and I'll just sit on my ass and like read. I read a ton at the beginning. I was like watching a bunch of shows and just like going out running all the time, and I was hiking. I mean, I still hike. I'm still hiking. It's like my only solace, the only time I get outdoors. But yeah, I was like, I don't even need to upgrade my setup. Luckily, I already had I live in a really quiet area, which is really good. And I already had a pretty nice booth upstairs in my closet. I have a big walk-in closet, so I put my booth inside of my closet. And I already had a Neumann microphone. So those were already like the pieces were already there. But once I realized that this was going to be going on for longer than we thought, I just kind of went, oh no, these things are going to need to record. I need to like outsource my anxiety and stress however I can. So I basically like I don't know if you know this, but I was recording auditions on my laptop. That's what I was using my booth for before, was just for auditions. Laptops start to make noise if you're
right.
running a bunch of programs on them and you're
The little
recording.
fan noise. Wee.
Yep, the
Yeah.
fan noise. Didn't realize that was going to be a thing. Realized that I only had about 45 minutes of record for a show or a game or whatever before that started happening. So I went and bought a Mac Mini, and now I have a Mac Mini with a monitor that like lives up there. And I bought a new interface, but I didn't need to. But the good thing is, because I started doing Twitch, I have my Scarlett 2i2 preamp that I wasn't using, so I just have it down here now.
Nice.
But yeah, so basically the big purchase upgrade was my Mac Mini instead of having, and now I never have my laptop in there anymore. But yeah, luckily I already had a pretty quiet space and it was well dampened, so my setup already sounded really good, which was a boon. But yeah, once I realized that no, these things are going to come back and they are going to want to finish this up, here during the pandemic, I knew I needed to get on the level. But a few times I have gone into studios that are qualified, like they pass all of the, I guess the limitations, or I guess the qualifications.
Restrictions.
The restrictions, yeah.
Okay.
There are a few studios that do have those qualifications. So when I do go in, I just prefer to record in studio if possible. But yeah, most of the time, no, it's just here. This is my domain. This is the only place I ever am. I think everyone's going full hermit right now. It's really interesting. Some people are really leaning into the whole, okay, great. Well, I'm just never going to see anybody again and just stay in my house. Even I'm a social person. I live by myself. But like, even I'm forgetting to reach out to people because there's nothing to do. It's like, do you want to go sit outside in a park and drink a coffee? Like, that's it. That's it. That's the only safe thing that I can do. Like, I'm not going to restaurants. Like, I'm wearing a mask everywhere I go. Like, I'm only meeting people outdoors, mostly aside from maybe 2 people who I like am quarantine potted with. Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to be as safe as I can because I'm like, but it feels fruitless because so many people are not following the rules. It's just so frustrating.
Right.
Ooh.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It feels it. That's definitely it. It generates anger. It generates anger for
God.
me. Like whenever I do go out to do groceries, and we're all, I'm being careful. My wife and I are being careful, and I
Yeah.
look around. I see people just, with the mask, like this.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
I
guy.
I have this around my all the time because it's a freaking mask. This is
Yeah.
literally my freaking, like, I wear it. Oh, yeah, I bring one with me everywhere. Obviously, I'm usually wearing it, but I'm in my house, so I'm fine.
But yeah, it's just weird how unintentionally, really, like I don't even think about it. Like, I just see
No.
somebody not being careful, and I get mad. I'm like, "Arr, what are
Oh
you
my God.
doing?"
When I'm on my hike, like I'm running up this mountain and I'm huffing and I'm puffing, but I'm wearing my mask, sweating my ass off, and there are people not wearing masks. And I'm like, guys, they're gonna close this trail again. We're like children, you know
Hmm.
what I mean, that they gave some privilege back to, and we're gonna lose it immediately. When I see people not wearing a mask, I just go, oh, so you just really wanted to telegraph to me that you don't care about other people. Okay, great. Because it's not for you, it's for other people. Like,
Right.
oh man, it makes me so furious. But like, I'm too tired almost to be mad anymore. I'm just tired. I'm just so tired.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned the hermit mentality thing, and it falls kind of on the, I guess, the majority of your fans. Like it's like video game anime fans are usually pretty, isolated. They stay home, play video games all day. Like myself, I mean, I used to play games all the time, and I'm used to just being at home. But
Yeah. I mean, it's hard for me to say, like, because I'm an anime and video game fan and I kind of have a split. Like before all this happened, I did like to go out and I liked to go out to, the least crowded bars in LA and hang out with my friends. But yeah, I feel like I rode that line a little bit as somebody who does really love anime and video games. I think there's a balance to be struck. But what I've realized now is you caught me at an interesting time because again, I think I said to you, I just started doing Twitch and Discord and all of those are the only ways for people to hang out now.
mhm.
I never thought I'd be a person who would make a Discord server or start streaming on Twitch, but I realized there's such a demand for it. People want to they want to interface with me, and because I usually do maybe like 8 to 10 conventions a year, I try to keep the number low just because it's just a stressful thing, but I also love going and meeting the fans, but I also have to take care of my mental health. And for me, like leaving on the weekends, which is sometimes the only free time that I get, is really difficult for me. But because I'm not doing those, I was like, I see a gap here. I didn't realize how much of a gap there was or how much of a demand there was for something like that because I made a Discord and we're over 2,000 members right now. And like Discord reached out to verify us within a day because it like exploded. And I had all these followers on Twitch, like even before I streamed. Like I just didn't even realize how much people wanted something like that. And it's honestly barely even about me. It's truly about creating a space that people just can hang out and have fun in. I feel like that's the main thing. I don't want it to, for me, it's very much not a transactional, like, give me money, I want money, buy my merch, whatever. And like, maybe I will have merch at some point. I don't know if there's a demand for it, but honestly, I really just I wanted to do something nice for the fans and create a nice, like, cozy space for them that they could hang out in, because I know things are really shitty right now for everybody. And so that's what I wanted to do. And I think, and thanks to my mods, ooh, they're so lovely. I think we've managed to do that, and like, I'm really happy about that.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. Yeah, I've definitely been exploring more Twitch channels, just kind of, because I'm running out of things to watch on Netflix. I'm running out of, and I myself also was on that line like you. I mean, I was going out 3 or 4 times a week. It was either a concert to go see some homies that were playing in town, or a comedy show. I'll go to the Comedy Store, hang out with some people.
I was going to a lot of concerts too, because I think I realized, like, I've been in LA for almost 10 years. Wow, 10 years now. And I realized that in the last couple of years, I'm like, Erica, LA can really suck, but it also offers everything. Like, so if you want to make it bearable, find an area that you really like to live in, which for me was the Valley, because it has parking lots and it's quiet. And for me, as someone who comes from the South, like a small town in the South, that's what I wanted. Like, I've lived in WeHo, I've lived in Westwood. It's just not my bag. But the second thing was, like, go to concerts, go to cool bars, like, go to a cool bar and get table service and get some cool craft cocktails on a weekend. Like, have fun, because that's what LA has to offer. And if you don't take advantage of it, it's basically like you're just living in any other city, except it's just really difficult to get around, like, in a lot of traffic. You know?
Parking.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I live on a cul-de-sac street. There's a reason for that. Like, I love the people that I love, but otherwise I don't need to see anybody.
Yeah, that was one of the big attractive points to LA for me, because I'm from Florida. I mean, that's we used to do that's where I know Josie and Dana, like some of the best people in the world. But I met them in Florida, and there was really never any concerts. They're just, bands don't go to Miami because it's such a drag. It's it's 8 hours to get out of the state. So when I got here, I'm like, oh my God, every concert ever. It's amazing. Every single tour comes through here. So, that's one of the things, that we were talking about, the balancing of social life with being a hermit with video games and anime.
Well, it's just, it's so much worse now, because there's nothing to go out and do. Like, there's no incentive. There's no conventions to go to, which conventions were the things for all the nerds to go to. And I can say that because that's what I did. Like, before I went on the other side of the industry and saw how the sausage was made, so to speak. Like, I honestly, like, when I was 18 and I went to Otakon for the first time, I was so in love with it. Oh my God. I was like, this is amazing. I'm going to go to college and major in business. And then I'm just going to I'll just go to conventions. Like, that'll be my nerd thing. That's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to fly to different conventions. That's what I'll use my pocket change for. Because I loved it so much. There is a magic about conventions. The magic for me is now very different, being on the other side of it. But now we don't have it anymore. There's nowhere for, like, even nerdy people to, like, hang out with their friends, and it sucks. And some people don't like screens. That's the other thing. Like, I have certain friends who I know I'm not going to ask them to Zoom because they don't like it. They don't like FaceTiming or Zooming. They want, like, my love languages is very much quality time and acts of service. So I will be the person, I reach out. A lot of my friends are less outgoing than I am. So I'm the one reaching out going, hey, let's go to Little Tokyo and get ramen. Hey, let's go do this. Hey, let's go do this. Like, I'll come pick you up. Let's go. I don't mind driving. To all of my, like, Shire friends. And now I can't do that, and it sucks. I'm at a point where I'm like, I will go get you coffee and just leave it on your front porch. Like, I don't even have to speak, because it's all I can do, because I know everybody's so sad. And, like, I think I love entertaining people and making people laugh, and I feel like that's just been so stifled now that I've been talking to my therapist about feeling, like, a little useless, because that's, like, my whole thing is making people laugh and, like, making them feel good.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and you're not alone. Like, I wake up with that feeling of uselessness sometimes. Like, I wake up to do a podcast. Like today, not today specifically, but like I woke up yesterday. I had a couple, and I was like, I don't even feel like doing it. Like, what's the point? Like,
Yeah.
Who wants to listen to us talk, and then like I remotivate myself. I'm like, well, I need to give people something to watch, I guess.
Yeah, I think honestly, like that was very much what I was going through with the whole Twitch and Discord thing. So I was like, this is just going to be effort, and I don't even know if anyone's going to want to anyone's going to want to, hang out here or watch this. And like, we are so completely wrong. People do want to see these conversations. Also, it's just lovely to see you and talk to you. Like,
Right.
this is so nice. I love because I don't get to talk to people all that often. So
Yeah. Yeah.
unless I'm
Yeah.
unless I'm working. So it's
Yeah.
nice.
I miss conventions too. I mean, I was wrong about them for many, many years. Like I was that dumb, like kind of like alpha male metalhead dude where like conventions nerds, like blah.
Yeah.
But I was also a nerd. Like I was still playing video games and watching anime, but I felt
Yeah.
that was like a level too high for me of nerddom, I guess. And
Yeah.
then my wife took me to SuperCon in Florida, and
Yeah.
the first one I had ever been to. I hadn't even been to a convention. It was just the thought in my head. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
that's too much. And
Yeah.
then I walked in and it was just so much magic. It was just
Yeah.
what is this? This is everything I love. Why was I so stupid?
Yeah.
Um,
Like, why was I balking? I like the first time I ever went to a con, I literally started hyperventilating as we drove up. So I completely get it. I was like, I found my people. Oh my God, I finally found my people. Holy crap. Like,
yeah.
this is incredible. Oh, actually, and also I know you're talking about music. I do have a little, I mean, I do sing, but have you ever heard of a band called Aether Realm?
Ether Realm. No.
Aetherrealm. They're a metal band that I'm friends with because they're from Greenville, North Carolina, which I am also from. I did some stuff on one of their tracks on their new album. They've been signed to Napalm Records for about a year, I think now.
Oh, nice.
And they're great. You should check them out. I did some VO on one of their tracks, Slave to the Riff, and they're great. And I love them very much. I love those boys. Yeah. So.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'll check them out for sure. I work with Napalm Records a bit. Like some of their artists, they email me every day with like, hey, I have new bands.
I'm sure they'd love to. I'm sure they'd love to do an interview with you.
Sure.
Yeah, you can tell them that I sent you. They'll do it. I think I'm gonna do. I might be doing some stuff on their new album as well. So I'm really excited about that. Yeah.
That's awesome. Have
Yeah,
you
they're
thought
great.
about singing since you use your voice so much already?
Well, I love singing. I just don't know anything about music theory, and I know that and I love the idea of doing covers. But it's all very nebulous and weird to me. I am a good singer. That's all I know. Like I am a decent singer, but the idea of like writing music or like I don't really play instruments. I just know what sounds good to me. All my friends are like, Erica, we can help you with this. This is not hard. But it's something I personally need to pull the trigger on, and I don't know. But I do love singing. I love singing. Yeah, I
Yeah, I
sing for
mean,
some of the projects I've been on. I've been able to sing for, which is nice. But yeah.
yeah, I was gonna say some of the stuff you work on, like I would assume has some singing, like some of the anime or maybe some of the like Barbie. I know maybe I don't watch
Uh,
Barbie, but I assume there's music.
Barbie does have singing, but I think they outsource. Like, I don't think the voice of Barbie has ever been the singing voice of Barbie. Like, they do it all in a different state, I think. I think they do all the singing in New York. Like, they just find voice matches for us, and then it's weird. I remember one
Right.
time I auditioned to sing for something, and then they just went and found a voice match for me. Like they were like, "Sounds great." Oh, we just ended up finding a voice, which I was like, "Okay, that's fine." Like, whatever.
Mm.
But yeah, it's an interesting process. I think they very much separate those two things in their head, which is totally fine if that's the way they've always done it. But I'm like, hey guys, like I can sing. The first time I ever sang for a project was for a League of Legends champion that I did, Talia, and they were like, oh, she has a song. Can you audition to sing this song? It was just vocalizing over this beautiful instrumental. But I ended up booking it and I did it. And for Thundercats Roar, which is an animated series that I was on, we did all the singing for that as well, which is
Okay.
nice. It's a good skill to be able to sing, just in case your character needs to sing. Like yesterday, I was doing something, and my character needed to hum a beat, and I was like, okay, because I have a good ear. I can't read notes or anything, but I have a good ear, and it was easy to get that done because I have a singing background. But yeah, I love singing. Ooh, I love it, and I love music. I'm very passionate about music, so.
Well, I mean, if it's inspiring in any way to you, I was in a band for 10 years,
Mm.
and I don't know anything about music theory.
Oh,
I
that's
don't know.
yeah, that
I don't know how to read music. I knew
Yeah.
that I knew how to sing, and I knew that what sounded good, like you said.
Hmm.
And I just found a group of dudes that they were like, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And I'm like, "Okay, I could work with that." And it just kind of went with it. You know, it kind of just
Yeah.
flows through you. Like you don't really, it's not something that you'll sit there and contemplate like writing actual like notes down like on sheet music. You know,
Yeah.
like if obviously I guess it depends on the musicians you're working with. Like I
Yeah.
was
See,
blessed to work with some really talented musicians, and then they were just like,
yeah.
"Do what you feel." I'm like, "Oh, great."
That's the problem is I'm like I'm so particular about what I like music wise that I wouldn't I do fear getting a group together that might not be the most cohesive and then shit just getting away from me and just being like, "Oh no, this is no longer what I wanted it to be." Like
Yeah. Yeah, and
but
it's it's multiple, usually about three or four extra people, and
yeah.
it's you're kind of like in a relationship with all of these people.
Yeah,
You got to
exactly.
make sure you guys are happy with each other and
Yeah.
not hating each other's guts and kind of being on the same page. And it requires a lot of hanging out too, just to get to know them. I mean, I know there's musicians that kind of work separately. They do email stuff and they don't see each other ever. That works too. But
Yeah.
for me, it's always been about being in a room together and then jamming and all that. So.
Yeah.
Do you do any kind of like screaming, growling type of thing, or is
You
it all
know,
just singing?
you know what's funny? I actually can do fry screaming.
Okay, okay.
I don't know if I haven't warmed up at all, but do you know In This Moment? You know the band In This
Yeah.
Moment, right? I can do like a baby version of what Maria Brink does. That like yeah, that I had to teach myself how to do it because for an anime I had to sing and we had to do like a harmony almost, an underlying growl situation. And
Hmm.
so I had to learn how to do it and it was really cool and it was really I literally just watched some YouTube tutorials and I was like okay and I like couldn't do it for a while because I'm sure you know like if you're doing it wrong, it hurts
Yeah.
really badly. But if you're doing it right, it doesn't hurt at all. And you can literally do it forever and it sounds completely brutal. And I couldn't do it for like a month. And then for some reason I was sitting in my car driving to Hollywood and I just started doing it. And I was like, oh, this is how this works. Okay, cool. Like this is
Yeah.
awesome. It's all like completely above the vocal cords.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, it's a lot of experimenting too, like just
yeah.
trying stuff out. I used to just sing along, like scream in my car. Like people thought I was a maniac driving down the
That's the
street.
thing too. That's the thing too is like no when I do it, I'm like I feel like I have to make sure I'm not around anybody because it scares my friends when I do it.
Yeah.
They're like what but I do actually it's funny that you ask about screaming and growling because like I can do that and I'm like I would love to be a part of a band where it's like because I can sing and I can do that so like it's a fun split but yeah.
Well, maybe one day. I mean,
Yeah.
it feels weird, bringing up music too. Like I've said before, like I talked to a lot of musicians on the show, and it's been getting rougher and rougher on musicians where they're like, why make new music if I can't tour? If I
Yeah.
can, and it's like what you do. You can kind of keep doing, and you don't really have to go anywhere. Like
Yeah, I don't
there's no
have to.
touring. Yeah,
Yeah, totally.
but like musicians, like most of their money comes from that tour.
Yep.
And you can't do it. I mean, you
Also, I
could do
know.
like virtual tours, but I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
they just oh no, I was just saying, and they just enjoy it. Like most of the musicians I know enjoy performing for a live audience.
Well, yeah,
So
I mean that's most of the appeal for me, honestly. Like
yeah.
that rush of performing and having a crowd, like
Oh
I don't
yeah.
know, it's rough to think that but also there's silver lining. I mean, I've been getting emails about clinical trials for the vaccine and stuff, so I'm like, all right,
Oh
there is
yeah.
hope. There is
Yeah,
hope.
my dad's an ear, nose, and throat surgeon, and he thinks that by end of this year, early next year, there will be a vaccine. So I mean, he doesn't know for sure, of course, but yeah, he's got a pretty good beat on like what things actually are. What's actually happening.
I have all these conspiracy theory friends that are like, you'll see the vaccine pop up around November because of the elections. I'm like, oh God.
Oh, geez. I love the way that you just said that. November.
November. Like, oh, jeez, man. So I wanted to ask you too of like, I know you don't, you do a lot of interviews about your career and everything, but I just wanted to just kind of dig a little deeper into the mind of, voice acting and
Uh-huh.
um, when you're doing voices or when you're trying to come up with a voice for something, like
Yeah.
do you feel like you're losing your mind when you're like just standing around, kind of like talking to yourself? Because I've seen your videos on Instagram too, where you play off of yourself.
Oh yeah, uh-huh. I probably
And
look like a nut. Uh-huh.
no, no, I'm just saying, like me personally, I'm like, I do stuff like that every once in a while, and then I'm like, I feel like I'm losing my mind. Am I crazy? Like,
Yeah. Well, for me, it's much more about the psychology of the character than it is about the voice. Like the voice is very, very secondary. Um, so I'm never really thinking about what the character sounds like. I'm just thinking about like how do they think?
mm,
And then the voice just comes out. Not to say that it was always like that, but right now, as it stands, like what, 5.5 years into doing this, that's how I'm just like, well, what are they like? Okay, what comes out of my mouth when I think that way? But yeah, no, for me, I don't ever feel like I'm going crazy. I don't. It's just me, man. I don't know. It's
well, that's
just
where the acting part comes in, where you get to be someone else. You know, you
yeah.
get your mind becomes someone else.
I
So
love it because I love, yeah, I love heightened reality, which I think is probably why voiceover is so good for me. I love living in insane circumstances. Like my brain so easily shifts to I am a warrior on a battlefield about to fight for the, for the in the Grail War. Like I am Mordred, Knight of Arthur. Like I'm just like, yes, yes. I think that's why like one of the best compliments that I've gotten on my work is that no matter how outlandish the circumstances are or how outlandish the character is, it always feels grounded and real. And that is something that, for me, if the character doesn't feel real, even if it's in an anime, even if it's in a crazy JRPG, whatever, even if we're on a ridiculous planet where people drink pink slime, whatever, it still feels grounded. Like it feels like an actual person, and that's what I strive to do. So.
yeah, you do great. I mean, honestly, you're probably one of the busiest people I know when it comes to
Oh,
work. Like,
thank
I was
you.
like, let me make some notes about her career, and I'm like, nope, that's way too much work. Like I can't.
Yeah.
There's so many things you've done that I'm, and I wanted the reason I brought it up was that I struggle myself with, and I want to know what I guess it self-esteem. I don't know if it's
Oh,
self-esteem or what it is that
totally.
makes me feel like when I want to give myself up to a role like that. Like when you say, okay, I am the warrior of whatever it may be, my subconscious hits me with like, this is cheesy. Stop doing this. What are you doing? You know?
Yeah. That's really interesting. Well, I get that way when I am asked to do something that I don't usually do. Now it does happen to me pretty rarely. But
Okay.
if I've gone in to like run utility on something, um, yeah, well, actually, I don't even think I can remember the last time. I think somebody asked me to voice a grandma in something recently, just utility. It wasn't a huge role. That I'm not very good at, and I can't do a realistic grandmother. It just doesn't work. And that's the last time I remember getting really like, I mean, I did it. I did it. We got, so I kind of pride myself on, I go, I can do a few things really, really well. I can kind of do anything because I have somehow overridden that this is cheesy, you can't do this. Like it's almost like I go into survival mode when I'm in the booth and I'm like, no, you have to do this because they're asking you to do it. So fucking figure it out, Lindbeck. Like just figure something out. And the thing is too, know what you're good at, right? Like my agents know like I'm not going to be going out for a realistic, older woman. It just doesn't work. It's just not in my wheelhouse. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Um but yeah, I don't know. I think again, like my brain is in such and this is as indicated by the fact that I read a lot of high fantasy novels. Like that is very much where my brain lives. Thus, it's pretty easy for me to not feel cheesy doing those things. Also, maybe also though, a few years ago I would have given you a different answer because I've been validated so much in that kind of work that I'm like, of course it's not cheesy. Like I do it all the time. I do it for all of
Right.
these games. But of course, when I first started, everything felt cheesy. When I was doing my demo reels, like when I was doing all these weird voices, I was like, "Oh, are you sure this sounds okay? Like I don't know if this does this even feel real cuz like I don't know. I feel like I'm just kind of faking it like ugh. I felt that way for a very long time. Now I'm just like I have no shame. I'll do anything. I don't care. But you kind of need that. I think that's what the best voice actors or actors are just willing to play, right? Because especially in voiceover, you don't get the scripts in advance. You literally walk in and it's basically thrive or die. Like that's it. You have to be able to walk in and figure out something. You can't walk in and them go, "Okay, we need you to do this," and you just go, "I can't do that." Like what do? You just leave? Like I don't. There was one time, and I will tell you, I booked a Blake Lively voice match for a movie.
Okay.
Yeah, I booked a Blake Lively voice match. This was, oh God, this was a few years ago. It was off of two lines. They had us audition, and I walked in to 14 pages of coverage with no production in the background, barely any production in the background, i.e. like nothing to cover it up. Like it wasn't like just her yells or like, ugh. And I don't sound like Blake Lively. I don't at all. And I walked in and we got 45 minutes into the session, 2 lines. And I went, "Guys, I'm doing my best here. I don't think I sound enough like her," because I could tell they weren't happy. And but that was just like literally an intrinsic thing that I could not do. Like
Right.
it just wasn't working. And I booked it fair and square. I know why they booked me. It was because in one syllable I sounded just like her. One syllable. And I can point it out to you. I could send you the audition and go, "This is why they booked me." But it just didn't work. And I will never forget like walking off the Paramount lot, just head hung low, going,
Yeah.
calling my agent. And it was okay. It was okay. You know, the person who cast me called my agency and went, "She booked it fair and square. It was, we should have auditioned more lines, whatever." But yeah, that's the last time I can remember that happening. Anything else though, I'm like, I can figure it out. If the issue is just not intrinsically sounding enough like someone, I can't really fix that.
Yeah. Right.
But anyway, I just wanted to tell you, I just think it's really funny because I have a couple friends who go, "Well, I mean, you're no Blake Lively." That's what they say. Like that's like their big insult to me.
God, people have to always find a way, right, to
Yeah.
tease.
Well, I think the thing is like at least from what I've been getting with a lot of the interviews I've been doing, people think that I'm just like untouchable and I've been working a lot since I started and whatever, and I'm just like, "Oh, let me dispel a few rumors here." Like I was never, first of all, no, I don't book everything. Second of all, I've been recast in things 100%. Third of all, I've been replaced. Like I don't do Barbie anymore. Like I did Barbie for 2.5 years and then they decided they liked somebody else better, so they use her now, and like that's amazing for them, and it was fine, and you get over it. I can't quite remember where I was going with this. Oh, and then the other thing is, what was it? Oh, wait. I had one other point to make about how shitty I am. 1 second.
You're not. You're beating yourself up for no reason. I mean, honestly,
No,
like
no.
I know that it feels that way. Like you don't everything you brought up. Like you want to bring it's the humble side of you where you want to be like, no, calm down.
Well,
It's
yeah, I just think people tend to put people up on pedestals. Oh, and was the other thing I was going to say. Also, I spent years not being the favorite, not being cast in shows. Like I remember very specifically crying on the floor of my apartment in college because I was a junior and I was like one of the only people in my class who hadn't been cast in a department show at UCLA, because I went to UCLA for theater, which is like a very amazing, prestigious theater program. But I was being beaten out by freshmen and I hadn't been cast yet. And it was awful. I was not the favorite in high school, in college. I graduated absolutely prepared to not be working in a coffee shop for 10 years. That was it. I didn't think I was very good. So it's funny to me that once I found success pretty quickly in this realm, people were like, "Oh my gosh, you're so like, wow, it's crazy. You've just been working like all the time." And I'm like, I don't know if I needed to get beaten down like that, like to have the mentality that I had going into it. I don't know. But
definitely.
I was never the girl ever.
I'll tell you.
Don't view myself that way. So,
You definitely hit a nerve there with the eating yourself up or going through all those struggles. Like that's how you do it. I get a lot of people sometimes are like, how do you break past that barrier of, because it feels like there's a barrier for most people,
Yeah.
when they're like, oh, I want to be a voice actor, and then they go in and they see that nothing happens, or they don't get cast, or they don't get anything, and it's like, how do I break into that part where I'm getting work? And it's like, you just gotta keep working, you gotta
Yeah.
keep grinding, and you
Yeah.
gotta learn to accept the no, the refusals.
Well, also, you also just have to learn to accept nothing. Because
Yeah.
I auditioned every single day for 8 months with my agents that are still my agent and booked nothing. I booked nothing for 8 months, which I know in the scheme of life is not that long, but auditioning every day and sending it into the void and hearing nothing, not even a no, just nothing.
Yeah.
It was horrifying. And every day I'd go, this is the day they drop me. This is the day they drop me. I haven't made any money. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And apparently I found out later that yeah, and then 8 months in, within a week I booked like an infomercial and a video game. It was crazy. And then like a month later I booked the voice of Barbie. So and apparently a couple of the agents were like, we can drop her. It's been past 6 months and she hasn't booked anything. So which is usually like the trial period.
Mhm.
And there were a couple people who were like, guys, her game reads are really good. Can we just keep her on for a little bit longer, just a little bit longer? And then so it
Yeah.
was like a fluke almost, like, you know.
Well, it's
Yeah.
not a fluke. It's work. It's you
Yeah,
putting in
yeah.
the work and grinding it and putting up with it. And like, I almost feel like I'm sure it's not intentional, but it feels like it's a test from your agents or whatever, like where you're like, should I give up? And they're kind of like testing you, and you kind of, convince yourself that like, don't give up. Keep trying it. I know it's been 8 months, and 8 months. You saying like in the grand scheme of thing doesn't seem like a lot of time, but 8 months of nothing can really be draining.
Oh
Can
my
really
God.
be, yeah.
Yeah, when you're not being, no one's even going like, good job. Nobody's
Yeah.
even saying like, no one's even saying you made it to the top 10, whatever. You're like, I was one of however many, and nobody knows who. I have no connections. I know nobody in this industry. I'm nobody's child. Like I don't know. I literally, there's so many amazing people. Like I'm literally reading against Laura Bailey, Gray Delisle, Kari Walgren, Tara Strong. Like who the fuck is ever gonna cast me? And then once you book the thing, you have to go in and fucking murder it in cold blood. That's the problem. Like you book it, you get that one shot because especially in games, which is most of what I'm known for now, I would say is video game work. I do across the board. I do commercial. It's how I make a living in this industry is I do commercials, animation, and games and a little bit of promo too, but obviously nobody knows me for like my commercial work. But you're given a chance, right? Because whoever is sick, I always said to myself, one day one of these girls is going to be sick and they're going to need somebody and they're going to bring me in and I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there with bells on. And like literally it was like the first time I ever got in front of like Chris Zimmerman or Amanda Wyatt or whatever. You have to be so good that they go, who the hell is that? Like, who is that? Oh, okay. Like, let's bring her in again. Because if you don't show up that one time that out of like 500 people they pick you, they're not going to bring you in again. So it's like a triple layered thing. There's so many layers to it. It's like yeah, you book it. Now go do a good job. Now you hope the game does well or the animated series or whatever it is. Like you hope people receive it well. It's just God, and so much of it's out of your hands too. Like even a good actor can sound shitty in anything if given a terrible script, a director that doesn't know what's going on, and a team that isn't cohesive. Anyway, I'm on a tangent, but yeah,
No, it's true, and this is something that applies to a lot of the
everything,
entertainment. Yeah.
literally everything. It's like when you get that one shot, you have to show up because they will not bring you in again for games and things, especially for smaller roles and incidentals. They need someone who they can bring in and throw 6 things at and know that you can do it.
Yeah, knock it
And
out of the park.
and they need to know that it's shippable. They need to know that you can do something and that they can ship it and not have to hire someone else and have wasted 4 hours of their day.
Yep.
Or yeah, in anything. And something like a lot of times for me at least, I would go in to do incidentals in a game and then they'd keep bringing me in. And then 2 games down the road, I would be a lead in their game. Like that's another thing. It's like you have to almost prove it's not like prove to me, but it's like you have to like put in the man hours, right? Like soldier A, soldier B, dying civilian A, whatever. So
you gotta build up the resume,
Yeah, so they go, oh, I think we can trust her, like whatever. I remember actually, I'll tell you a quick anecdote. One of the roles I think I'm most known for is Black Cat in Spider-Man PS4. Well, I'll tell you how this isn't necessarily how I booked the role, but I took a workshop with, they'd been working on Spider-Man for years before I booked Black Cat in it. And I took a workshop with Insomniacs at the time, like voiceover, I guess he's like the VO head honcho, Jeremy Hall. And I read a script that he had provided, and it was Mary Jane Watson. I didn't even realize it was Mary Jane Watson from that game. And I remember he gave me a bunch of notes. So I tracked his ass down after that workshop, and I went, hey, can I pay you to meet with me privately? I just want you to tell me, like, but in my brain, I went, I was never expecting to book anything in that game, or in any Insomniac game. But I went, clearly I'm not doing a few things right. So can you please tell me what I'm doing wrong so I can fix it? And we met up, and he went, okay, here's the 5 things that you're doing wrong. And he like read me for filth and like freaking and gave me all the notes. And then 6 months later, I went back in and read for him again, and he went, oh my God, you took all my notes. And then like a few months later, I read for Black Cat, and I got a call back, and I ended up freaking booking it. So nice. That's that's the level of when somebody tears you a new asshole and goes like, hey, these are the 5 things that you need to fix. Don't go like, well, fuck you. Go, all right, teach me how to fix it. Mm-hmm. I want to know how to fix it. And not with the intention of, don't go in with the intention of, I need to book it, because that's completely out of your hands. You can give an amazing audition and still not book. But I'm just going, just tell me how to fix it. Like, I just want to know what you want so that for next time I can get closer and closer. Because one of my acting teachers in college always said to me, control the things that you can control. Like, I cannot control who books what role. I can control doing a badass audition. And I would rather do an audition and send it in and have them go, who the fuck was that? Oh my God, she's insane. Like, I don't even pay attention to specs anymore. I literally just do whatever I want, because I know that is going to make more of an impact than me going, how do I fit this in to the box that they think they want? Like, how do I fit this into what like, I'm just like, no, I'm just going to do what I want. And I would rather them go, who the fuck was that? She's batshit crazy. Like, we're not giving her this role, but at least we'll remember her.
Yeah.
Like, I would rather that.
Well, that's what differentiates someone that's working, like a star. I don't, you want to say that word, a star, but there is a certain element of work and drive behind people that become stars. It's that difference of like when someone tells you those notes of what you're doing wrong, instead of oh, whatever, or even maybe not the aggression, but the sadness, like, oh, I suck, and you go home.
And it's so easy to do that. And I've done that before, like to wallow. Now I go, okay, Erica, why are you insecure about this? Let's fix it. I know it's hard. I know it's scary. Let's just try to fix it. Let's get better, because that's the only thing that you can do. So that when the opportunity does arise, you are there to meet it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I give people advice sometimes, like they'll ask me things for like the podcast, be like, how did you get this guest, or how did you have your show take off or whatever, and I'm like, these are the things you're doing wrong with your podcast, and then I come off like a jerk. They're like, whatever, man, or they'll get angry, and I'm like, dude, I'm just trying to help.
You know what's funny? I've had people ask me, which by the way, like, I am not a teacher. I have been asked to like, Erica, would you teach classes? I've literally had someone go, would you teach like voiceover class? And I said, absolutely not. I'm not qualified to. And they went, but you're good. Like, you work a lot. And I was like, does not make me a teacher. If somebody comes to me and goes, hey, which I have had happen a few times, I'll go, oh, if you ever want me to like listen to your reels or whatever, because I know what sounds good to me, and I can give like, light basic notes and be like, well, this needs more physicality in it, whatever, especially for video games. I feel like I really understand that pocket of the industry. And so I've had people go, will you listen to my demo? And I'll listen. Now I go, do you really want me to critique it? Like, do you really want feedback? Because I don't want you to get super defensive. Like, don't ask. I will never just offer critique, because I feel like that is not, it never goes well. For anyone I've seen who does that, is like, well, let me just tell you. I'm like, no, everything's so subjective too, right? So I go, do you want my opinion? Do you actually want my opinion? Because I've had so many situations where I've given my opinion when asked, and they fight me on it. And I'm like, why did you even ask me for my opinion? Exactly, don't fight me tooth and nail if you literally asked me for my opinion. And my opinion might not even be right. Like, take it with a grain of salt, whatever. What works for one person doesn't work for other people. It's fine. It's the defensiveness. And that's something that I work to, because I initially, when I started working, I would take classes and I would get critique and I would just go in my brain. I would never say this to the person, but I'd go, wait, I don't get it. I'm working, so I must be good. So obviously you're wrong and I'm right because I'm already working. You can be working and still have room to improve. Like
Always. Yeah.
It's hard, right? You want things to be a 1 or a 10. You want it to be black and white. There are a bunch of numbers in between 1 and 10. You can be one thing and simultaneously be another. It's just how it works. I'm saying that more for myself than anyone else.
People these days are not in that mentality of, like you're saying, like you could be two things, like, you know, especially if you want to get in that political realm. It's like that's kind of what the biggest problem is right now in society, is that people want to go to one side or the other. They don't want to say that they agree with like certain things from one side and the other side. Like there's no balance in the world. And
nobody wants to live in the gray. Everybody just wants it to be one thing or another, which I get it, right? You want the one of the hardest lessons I learned was that nobody is actually evil. There is not good and evil. There's just a nebulous clusterfucky mix of human sludge. Like that's it.
Yeah.
And nobody is evil. And usually when somebody's mean to me, or even it's usually just somebody projecting. Now I really think about, I try to be a lot more empathetic, right? Because we give ourselves the benefit of the doubt while simultaneously not giving anybody else the benefit of the doubt. Okay, sorry, I thought my cat was like dying. He's not. He's just playing with a toy. But I try to think, oh, this person was snappy with me because of it, you know, thing ABC, because they may be insecure about this, or maybe they're just having a bad day. Like I really try, because I don't think that is in my nature. I'm very empathetic, but when it comes to like, I definitely like, I don't want to say I have like a temper, but like I'm very good at reining it in. But yeah, I mean, I'll immediately be like, well, fuck you. That's my response. And I've had to work on that over the years to be like, you know what? No, Erica, like, no, there's two sides to every story.
Yeah, empathy is a very big thing. I mean, I've been learning about it the last few years with my current job. I'm not going to say what it is. I'll tell you later, but I think I told you already. But yeah, I've learned a lot about empathy and trying to understand people, and it's helping me also just kind of navigate society these days, where we got, you know, so many issues in the news that we're dealing with. So trying to understand somebody and trying not to just be aggressive about it it's a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to do, but you know, it's something that we all need to work on. But that's something that I even learned when I was a little kid. Like when I was very young, the first time I saw the yin yang symbol, I was like, oh, that's really cool looking. So what is that? And then I started reading up about it, and how, like you said, no one's ever truly good or truly bad. Like there's a little bit of each inside. And the best way to find peace in your life is to have that balance. You know, I think that our existence here, this life that we're all living, has a kind of a duality to it, and it's just natural. Like we always expect there to be a beginning and an end. There's always, you know, black or white. There's always, you know, go or stop. Like there's always like a one side or the other. And I feel that the only way for you to have a peaceful life is to kind of live somewhere in that middle, that gray area, like you said.
And that's hard and like scary, and nobody wants to do things that scare them. And also people just want things to be easy, and they're not. And I was thinking recently about what I've been through in my life, or like my specific trauma, and sort of how I grew up. And to be clear, I had a very supportive family, super supportive. They're amazing, and they're definitely the reason I am where I am today. Their support, but the things that I went through, and the things that kind of affected me in my life, I don't think I would not change any of it, because I wouldn't be the person that I am. Like I would not have my sense of humor. I probably would not be the actor that I am today, because I have all this shit that I get to dig up and like tell that it's worth it and it's okay, and I get to like use it. Like I literally get to use just the ugliest parts of myself all the time. And there's something really therapeutic about that, about like bringing it out in the open and naming the beast and like using it in my work. I think there's a depth there that I'm not afraid to like use it. I'm never afraid to go there and like look at that stuff and look at like the abject ugliness that sometimes exists inside of me and going like, well, use it, like make money off of it, use it.
Yeah, don't let it just bring you down, you know, make it fuel, right?
Yeah, make it exactly. And like, you know, I've always said like, people always laugh at me when I say this, but I'm like, when I want everybody to have a good agent. I want every person to be at the top of their game. I know people think, you know, that some people the VO industry is categorically like not very catty, but sometimes you get vibes from people and I'm like, no, I don't want to hold anyone down. I want everyone to be at the top of their game so that when I audition and I book a role, I know I beat out all of you. I want all of you in the pool. I don't want to thin the herd. I want the herd thick as hell so that when I book a role, I know that I beat out everybody. I beat out the best. I want everyone to be really good. Like that's always been my mentality. It's very Bakugo from My Hero Academia. Like literally I am a female Bakugo.
It iron sharpens the iron, you know.
It does,
also.
Exactly. It literally, how good everybody is, it always pushed me to be better. So and I also think that there's room for everybody. That's another thing. Like, and I also, it's just statistically, you can't hold every good person back. Like you can't do that. You can't keep everyone out. It's not going to work. So you might as well just get really good.
Right. Just pick the thing you're good at and go for it. Like with music, it's the same thing. And there's a lot of similarities to the stories you were saying about music. Like when we were in the band, you know, we did, like I said, it was 10 years of, but the first 5 was us performing in front of no one, or like five people at the bar.
That's like this. It's the same as like not booking anything, right?
Exactly.
It's literally like, and you're like, oh my god, like it's legitimately just survival of the fittest, or it's like who's willing to wait the longest. That's the entertainment industry. It's just like how long are you willing to wait? And the thing is too, I used to internalize, because again, I graduated from a pretty prestigious theater program, and a lot of people tried to do this for a year, 2 years, and moved and decided to become realtors in some other city, whatever. And I used to internalize that as a failure on their part. It's not. They just decided, you know what? I don't want this anymore. I actually don't think this is what I want. And they left and they found a better life for themselves with doing something else. And I think that's great. Like, I'm like, yeah, great. The entertainment industry will chew you up and spit you out. I do well, and I still go, do I want to go back to school? Like, do I maybe want to go try to do something else? Because even when nobody tells you this, even when you're doing really well, you still can be completely miserable and like questioning everything and just going, what am I even doing here? This is so hard. Like, it's still so hard.
Yeah. Most of my friends that I know that are successful, either comedians or actors or musicians or whatever, they're all, you know, I heard a story, I forget who told me this story, but it was kind of like, it was Ozzy Osbourne was backstage, and he was standing there next to another band that was performing, and Ozzy asked the guy, he's like, hey, is there anybody out there? Like, and they're like, dude, you're Ozzy. Everyone's out there for you.
Yeah.
And so like, it's just crazy to hear that, like, even someone like Ozzy Osbourne, who's a god of music, you know, he's internalized like, man, you know, anybody cares? Are they out there? Like, it doesn't matter how successful you are.
Yeah. And even like on a smaller scale, obviously I am no Ozzy Osbourne. I love him very much. But you know, when I go to conventions still, I go and you know, they're like, okay, Erica, you're signing. And I'll always go, like, so many times I'll go, oh, like my line will have been moved somewhere because it was so long. And I'll see nobody in front of and I'll go, oh my God, I knew it. Nobody's here. And they go, no, Erica, your line's over there. It's 2 hours long. And I'm just like, I'm legitimately like shocked every time because I'm expecting it to be like 3 people. And people look at me like, Erica, yes, like, of course, you know. Even on, you know, and obviously like I'm not I don't consider myself a celebrity by any means or like a famous person, but yeah, even when you've been validated so much in your field, you still you still get that feeling of like, oh no, it's maybe a slight imposter syndrome, but I also think there's a balance to be struck. And I think if you get to the point where you're like, of course there's a ton of people here for me, like of course I'm gonna have a sold out stadium, whatever. I think that's kind of like the death of creativity and like the death of, I don't know.
You
like,
become pompous and kind of a
Yeah.
jerk. Really, you're that one person like no eye contact on set. You know, like
Yeah.
that.
I remember actually when I was at a SuperCon a few years ago, or maybe it was GalaxyCon, but I was in Raleigh, North Carolina, and my family's from Greenville, and they drove up and we finagled my dad meeting Alice Cooper.
Nice.
Because I knew he was a huge fan, and Alice was there, and I was a guest, obviously a very small guest in comparison. But they were so nice, and they put him to the front of the line, and they went back behind the curtain to take a picture. My dad actually got to like talk to him for a minute, and he was so sweet. Oh my God, nicest guy. It just was. It's lovely to see that, and it also I'm like no one's allowed to be an asshole if Alice Cooper isn't an asshole yet.
Right.
Like, not allowed, because unfortunately he set the bar of not being an asshole, and he's Alice Cooper. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that's true. Like you said, like when you get that kind of pompousness to you, it kind of makes you a jerk, and it kind of kills the vibe. Like the few people I've met a lot of my heroes or whatever, and thankfully I've had good experiences with most of them. But there is that saying of like, don't meet your heroes, kid. Like that kind of mentality. It can be crushing because you lose everything. Like if you meet someone that you admire and they're jerks.
Yeah.
You're done. Like I can't appreciate that anymore. I can't appreciate whatever you're doing.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough, and it also puts a lot of pressure on the people that are the quote unquote heroes. Like for example, in my line of work, people conflate us with our characters, and I'm sitting here going, I will never be able to live up to Futaba from Persona 5. I will never be able to live up from Celica from Fire Emblem, or Black Cat from Spiderman, or like or Jessie from FF7. Like it's literally impossible. And we're already up against these characters who aren't even real. Yeah. So or Barbie. I mean, it's just so tough. In a sense, it's like don't meet your heroes because they can be assholes, but also don't quote unquote don't meet your heroes because they're just human. Mm-hmm. Like they're just human beings. But
it breaks
also,
the magic.
Exactly. But also for somebody like you who's very grounded, you know that your heroes are humans. Right. Some people don't understand that, and that's where I have a little bit of concernicus like brain about it. I'm like, guys, I'm not this character. I'm just a person.
Yeah, it's I see that with pro wrestlers a lot. Like The Undertaker, for example. Like when people found out that he's a human being. Yeah. They're like, it's like, yeah, of course he's a human being. Like, what did you think? He was actually a zombie? Like, come on.
Yeah. Or
go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, I've had people, come through my line and just going, wow, you're a lot less, like you're a lot less energetic than I thought you'd be, or whatever. And I'm over here like, guys, I've been signing for 2 hours. Like I've been talking to people, it's just, and it's like, I'm just being a human and I'm still disappointing them. You know, I'm literally just being myself, which is not super energetic all the time. Like I'm literally here sitting here drinking an energy drink, and I'm super excited to be talking to you, but I'm not like this all the time. Like I have friends who, like my really good friends know, like sometimes I'll get in the car with me and I'm just not talking, and that's fine. And they're cool with it because they know that that's just a facet of my personality, not one that everybody sees. But yes, I get tired too. Like I get sad as well. I have periods of time where I don't feel like talking, Yeah.
You mentioned earlier you're not a star, but like I feel you're kind of like lucked out in the field that you're in, where you are a star in terms of the work you've done, but because most of it's voiceover, like there isn't a lot of connection with the face. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, yes, I think
you can go out and you can go hang out somewhere and nobody's going to be like, it's you. Cause
I have been recognized a few times, actually. Crazy.
Is that from like cons and stuff, I guess?
No, in public. It's happened like 3 times in my whole life. But yes, it's just, I mean, it's just clearly like something was in the water that day, or the moon was in a specific point, but yes. But also that's because I do post pictures of myself online a lot. So like that makes sense. I could choose not to do that and be completely anonymous.
Right.
So yeah. But,
yeah, there's a big difference from like being an actor that, you know, your face is on the screen throughout the whole thing, and where like, you see Brad Pitt in the street, you'd be like, there he is.
Yeah.
Whereas a voice actor, it's a little easier to kind of like exist in the world.
It's a celebrity that you can turn on and off, which I like. I was actually saying to someone recently, like, it's a small corner of the internet, the voice actor world, but it's an intense one. Like the fan bases are very intense and really supportive and like categorically just really cool people. But actually on that note, I don't know if you saw any of this, but I made it to the Reddit front page a few days ago.
Ooh.
And it was kind of an awful experience, just because Reddit, as I've learned, is just like a cesspool of kind of misogyny and horrors. So that was great. Like somebody just screenshotted a tweet that I'd made about a misunderstanding that I had with somebody about, because the language can get a little funky, like when you're telling someone that you're a character in something. Like it's happened twice in my life, once with League of Legends a few years ago, and then once with Mortal Kombat 11 over Christmas, where I talked to somebody and they mentioned a game and I went, oh, I'm Cassie Cage in that. He was like, oh, I play a lot of MK11. I said, oh, I'm Cassie Cage in that. And he goes, oh, you main Cassie, that's awesome. And I said, oh, no, I play Cassie Cage in the game. And he was like, oh, I play her too sometimes. Oh, sorry, somebody's here.
Yeah, go ahead, I'll pause it.
1 second.
Yep.
And then I went, no, I voiced her in the game. And he goes, oh, haha, like I do their voices too sometimes.
Oh
No, but listen, I was back in North Carolina. Like, how could this man, this girl who was a fan of mine screenshotted it and put it on a subreddit called Don't You Know Who I Am, which is, it's when misunderstandings of people not understanding who they're talking to, whatever, because she thought it was super cute. She thought it was a very lighthearted Don't You Know Who I Am. And some of the comments on it got like 47,000 upvotes, Reddit front page. Yeah. Some of the comments were, I screenshotted some of them, but I deleted it because I'm like, I'm not gonna focus on this. But it was like, wow, what a shitty communicator she is. I'm glad we have someone else writing her words for her because she's a terrible communicator. I'm sorry, did she expect this person to know who she was? She's just a voice actor who did something incredibly minor in a video game. Like, it was just like, and I'm sitting here and I'm just going, how are you getting from this innocuous tweet, so innocuous, that I was offended that this person did? Like, I just was like, the way in which my words were twisted and I was just misunderstood, or probably purposefully misunderstood, honestly. I'm like, you would have to try to get something negative out of this tweet. It was infuriating. And of course, my gut reaction was to go, I need to like put you all on blast and take you to freaking church. Like, how dare you? And also the other aspect of it was, I saw this girl in the comments going, hey guys, I thought this was just going to be like a fun thing. I see Tony Hawk has these kinds of situations all the time. And when he posts them, for some reason, it's fine. But when a girl posts it, it's not okay anymore. And everybody is talking about what a terrible communicator I was and what an idiot I am and all, like, it was a lot. But anyway, point being, lesson to me, because I focused on just the few negative comments. And the only reason I was aware of it was because I had a bunch of friends and people I went to college with going, Erica, you're on the front page of Reddit. This is hilarious. I only focused on the negative comments and not the fact that this got a bunch of upvotes because people thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
And there were people in the comments going, oh, I forgot. She doesn't have a penis, so this is not okay.
Oh, God.
No. I mean, this person was obviously defending me, but they were saying she's not a guy, so of course
gotcha.
It's not okay for her. It's not okay for her to make this joke. Okay, we get it now. Like, and this poor girl publicly on Twitter was like, I made a huge mistake. I posted this thing because I thought it was me funny, and it's not. And she saw it, and I had to go, hey, it's okay. You're not responsible for other people's crappy comments. Like, it just, it was. I never want to make it to the front page of Reddit ever again.
Yeah, people don't understand that. You get a lot of people that want to become celebrities, or I want to be famous, and it's like, you don't.
And I'm not even famous. Like, I'm not even a freaking famous person, and I cannot imagine what actual famous people go through. Because I think because people, keyboard warriors, like behind, sitting there going, well, I can say whatever I want. I think we're a little dehumanized to them because they're probably thinking they're never going to see this, or they just don't care. They think we're up on some, on our hill, like sipping tea, like we'll never even see any of these comments. And I'm like, we do see these comments. Like I see when people call me, I mean, I don't read comments. At the beginning of my career, I did though. And I see people calling me ugly, like, wow, she definitely looks like a voice actor, like all this stuff. And it's just, or calling me fat, or like, it's awful. It's absolutely, or that my favorite one is that I have the jawline of a linebacker, which I think is just, my jawline's too wide, that I look like a dude. I mean, it's great. I love being on the internet. And to be fair, just FYI, I know this does not only happen to women. It happens to everybody. Everyone gets shitty comments. I get it. So I'm not gendering it, but it just.
But I'm sure there's a higher percentage of that, and a lot of it has to do with just either self-loathing or jealousy. Really, like just people get angry at success or anything like that. They're just like, oh, whatever. Let me find a way to bring them down. And I've spoken to a few people that have addressed, like they'll go out of their way and send a DM to the person that's making that comment, and a lot of the time, it ends up being that they're having an issue. So like, oh, your new album's a piece of crap or whatever, and then they'll be like, hey man, why'd you have to be so aggressive about it? How can we, what's your feedback? Like, how can we fix it? And then they're like, no, I'm sorry, I was just having a bad day, or my dog died, or it's usually something that triggers them into becoming this evil kind of like, Argh. And it's sad, that's the existence we live in. Like people don't realize the effect of their words online.
God. Yeah. I mean, I have a pretty thick skin at this point, and I was doing another interview, and I'm like, it's just hilarious that people want to talk about my looks, and I'm over here going, guys, I do voiceover. Yeah, I'm sorry. Do you think I'm too ugly to do voiceover? Like, is that what this, like, my career literally has nothing to do with the way that I look. So please I think people just think that telling a woman she's ugly is going to send us into the hills to like become butter churners so that no one will ever like see our ugly faces again. It's interesting. But yeah, I mean, again, like, and I was actually talking to my dad about it, and he was like, honey, you get overwhelmingly positive comments, because sometimes he goes down rabbit holes and looks at my YouTube interviews and, with Twitter and all that. And he was like, he also said the same thing that you said, which is very wise, which is these people obviously are going through something. And that's kind of the mentality you have to have, because why would you ever say that? I'm so self-aware to a fault, and I never want to make anyone feel bad. So I guess to me, like, I've never taken my insecurities out on other people. I've just never been that person. It all goes inward. All the self-hate goes inward. I never make anybody feel bad to make myself feel better. It's just never been my style. So for me, it's so foreign. I just go, wait, what? Like, what are you doing? Are you an alien? Like, why? I just don't understand that type of lashing out, I guess.
It's trolling, really. And that's become, unfortunately, kind of a predominant way for people to act online. People like to troll. People intentionally like to get reactions out of people. And then once they realize that they're getting this reaction, like, and it's not just like what you brought up. It's not just you getting affected by this. It's that girl that made the tweet. Well, now that girl's feeling awful at home.
Yeah, yeah, she felt terrible, and I had to kind of do like damage control on that, and through no fault of her own. I mean, I just see, again, I couldn't bear the thought of her feeling bad at my expense.
Right.
Of her feeling bad because of me.
Because of you.
Because of me, not at my expense, but like. Because I can't bear the feeling of making someone else feel bad. I would rather just take the brunt. I was like, even though it did affect me, I told her I was fine, and that I was a big girl and that I could handle it, because I am, and I can.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm sure you got to deal also with not just the trolls that are trying to make you feel bad, like, talking crap about your looks or whatever it may be, but like there's also the other side, the creepy side of the spectrum, which I'm sure you get a lot of,
Do you sell feet pics? Like, yeah, people have sent me videos of people jacking off onto pictures of me, like literally, yeah, it's crazy. Porn of my characters, or hentai, I guess, rather. it's it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine it being just. I couldn't even deal with it. Just thinking about the thoughts of like all the messages of like you said, like feet pics. Like, why is that a thing? I've
Feet
never.
pics is such a thing, and I'm like, believe me, I haven't had a pedicure in 6 months. Nobody wants to see my feet right now. Like, I promise you.
Yeah.
But yeah. Also, I'm like, wow, you are bold of you to just.
Yeah. Hey, give me feet pics. I got money. Like,
When's
what?
your OnlyFans coming? I've gotten that a lot.
Oh
When's your
my God.
OnlyFans Which, by the way, I have tons of friends who have OnlyFans. Fucking kill it, girls and boys. Like, I love it. I was watching an interview with Mia Khalifa, who I think is one of the most interesting people on the planet, and I absolutely love her. But she was talking about how OnlyFans is so great because people have control over their content now, as opposed to having to sign a contract with whatever company they're making the porn with, and they have no control over it, barring like what they're being paid one time for their performance. So I love that OnlyFans is a thing, and that people can, again, have control over their own content, and if they want it down, they can take it down. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it has more freedom than like for example, like a Twitch type of thing where,
Yeah.
they'll shut you down if you're using music of some sort, or if they're, if you show your feet. I think they even said that, like, if you have your feet, you're not allowed to have your feet out on Twitch now.
You know what's funny? I've accidentally, I had to pull my leggings over my feet the other day because I was like walking around and I was like, oh crap, like I can't have all the thousands of feet pick boys are gonna go crazy, like from my griffin talons that I have now.
I wonder if OnlyFans, when they created that, if that was the intention. Like, was it meant for like a pornographic type of thing?
Yeah, it was. I think it was very specifically meant for like lewd and pornographic content. Okay. Which I know for some people it's not like technically pornographic. I know it's just like lewd pictures.
Sure, yeah.
And like cosplay stuff. But I think literally that is a space for it, which I think is amazing. I think as much control as people can have over their stuff, their media, I think the better, because I know that especially porn stars, porn actors and actresses, or performers rather, have just been absolutely shafted by the industry because people think they're getting residuals. Mia Khalifa had to actually explain that people thought that she was getting residuals off of because her videos were viewed so many times. She was like, no, I got one-time payment. That was it. They shoved a contract at me day of, right before I was about to go on set. And I didn't have a third-party lawyer to look it over. And that's really what she's pushing for these days, is like third-party lawyer to look over the contract, because she was just like a 21-year-old scared girl getting shoved a contract going, hey, sign this right before you go on. So of course she did it. I'm lucky that I have agents to look over all my contracts, because I wouldn't. I'm terrible at that stuff. My CPA jokes all the time. He's just like, Erica, you have no idea what any of this. And I'm like, yeah, and I don't want to, Steve.
That's your job.
Yeah, literally, yeah. It's just like he goes, just keep working. We'll figure it out. Just keep working.
Yeah, that's super important. I mean, I would recommend anyone that's trying to do entertainment, get an agent, because honestly, and the same goes for bands. Get a manager. Oh
my God, yeah. Well, a good agent, good manager, because believe me, I've been very, very I've been with my agency since the very beginning, and I love them, but and I trust them. They're basically like family to me at this point. But sometimes they aren't good, and sometimes they try to take more than their cut, or they won't bring a project to you because it's not worth it for them, but maybe for you it's worth it. It's a lot.
Well, that I would say definitely look into that world of getting a manager, because a lot of people, especially musicians, they want to do it themselves. They're like, I can manage it. This is my project, and but you spread yourself so thin, especially if you're creative.
I can barely answer. I get asked to be on so many podcasts and stuff. People have so much more luck reaching out through my agents. You're a friend, obviously, so it was different, but I get so many freaking DMs and stuff about interviews, especially after FF7 came out. And I'm like, and they'll email me 8 different times, and I'm like, guys, I don't have time to be on everybody's podcast, If people reach out through my agent, though, usually I'll do it. But I've been interviewed by terrible people too. It's really put me off of it. I've been interviewed by people who are trying to ask me spicy questions about the industry, and I'm like, I'm not going to answer these. I'm not going to
ruin your career.
Yeah, let me ruin my career real quick.
Yeah.
I didn't even.
Yeah, that's a struggle I found out about that I wasn't aware of, because I kind of jumped into the podcast thing, 2 years ago, and then I recently. I would say
Yeah.
it's been the last 3 or 4 years, but I grew up as a musician, being part of the entertainment on that
Yeah.
side, and I never really knew. Like I had a few people bring it to my attention. They're like, that we consider you kind of the enemy. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm just trying to help you promote yourself. It's like there's so many people that do interviews that they're just looking for that hot clickbait type of thing,
Even from me, which is so odd. And it makes me, and again, rightfully so, makes me very defensive.
Yeah.
Makes me very, I will shut down. I'm sure you can tell I'm a very open person. So when I feel that's been betrayed, like how vulnerable I'm willing to be, I just am like, ooh, I'm at a point where I'm like, I'll just shut down the Skype. Like, I'm just like, you know what? You don't get an interview from me. I'm not talking to you about this stuff anymore. But yeah.
Well, I had one last, well, actually two last things I had before we wrap up, because I mean we're almost at an hour and a half. Wow.
Oh.
So
Actually, I need to send a text really fast.
Do it. Go ahead.
1 second. Okay. Hold on. Almost done. How about? Okay, ready. Sorry.
So the two things I had, well, one being music. I know that you like Kill Switch Engage. I know you mentioned In This Moment.
Yeah.
What are some of the bands you're listening to now? This time.
Let me pull up my Spotify. Hold on. Okay. So there's actually, I don't know how to pronounce it. I don't listen. The one band that I listen to like every single song of is The Birthday Massacre. That's one of my favorites of all time. I love The Birthday Massacre. I love Dance with the Dead. They're one of my favorite, and I've seen them in concert. They're absolutely incredible. They're like DJs, but they actually play guitar live, which is dope. I love Gunship. I'm really into synth. Can you tell? I've recently discovered a band called Saint Mesa that is absolutely fantastic. SAINTMESA, Saint Mesa. There's I've been listening to a song called After Dark by Mr. Kitty that I absolutely am obsessed with.
Mr. Kitty's awesome.
Yeah, and there's a song called Tension by Kanga that I've been listening to on freaking repeat. Meg Myers, been listening to a lot of Meg Myers. I freaking love her. I think she's so fantastic. What else? I love, oh man. Oh, Clan. I've been listening to this sort of atmospheric instrumental with vocalization music. CLANN, super badass.
Yeah.
I think that's it for now.
You're giving me good music to check out, because I mean I get so much music sent to me email wise that it's hard to kind of like select what I'm going to listen to and check out. So I like asking people to give me suggestions, because I just kind of, I'm limited to like, hey, here's 100 new bands. I'm like, crap, I don't even know what to do. Where do I start?
Oh, yeah, and another one is Corpse. It's he's actually he wants to do music full time, but his YouTube is Corpse Husband, and he's kind of branched off and started doing music. But yeah, Corpse, CORPSE. He doesn't have a ton of songs out, but I think he's gonna have more soon. But there are 2 songs called "Miss You" and "Cat Girls Are Ruining My Life." Those are like my favorite. They're great. It's like I think his genre is like SoundCloud rap, like that kind of.
Okay.
Yeah. I've also been listening to Ultra Numb, like every single remix of Ultra Numb by Blue Stolly. I don't know. I've been regressing a little bit to like what I listened to when I was in high school, like Breaking Benjamin, 3 Days Grace, like
nice. Okay.
Adam Gontier, 3 Days Grace. But yeah. Yep.
Cool.
Anyway. Yeah.
And then the last thing I had was, you do a lot of anime and a lot of games. Which one do you prefer? Like, which one's, I guess, easier? I figured like video games has got to be hard, because you got to make a lot of those random noises, like
Exactly. Yeah. It hurts. Which I don't know. They're all so different, because with anime you're trying to match what's already there with English dialogue. With games you're making it up on your own. You're literally just if it's not a JRPG that already has reference sometimes. I would say I do. I like them all for what they bring to the table. You know, listen, if the script is good, if the director's good, and the team knows what they're doing, to me, it's all good. Like I'm excited to be a part of it. So it's just different, you know, because with a video game, you're getting a script. Like for the audition, for example, you're just getting a script, and you make all of the choices. You make all of the acting decisions. But when it comes to an anime, they go, here's the ref, you know, and here it is in Japanese. So that very much is going to inform your performance in certain respects. So
you know Japanese?
No.
Oh,
it's just subtitle. Like it's basically, yeah. So you're going in, and because obviously the anime is already animated, so you're going in with an English script, and the Japanese is already in with the animation, and you're listening to the Japanese, and you're getting an English line, and then you fit that English line into where the Japanese was.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say like that. I mean, I've taken some years of Japanese, and I understand it, but it's just such a complicated language. There's like 3 different ways you can write it and everything. It's just
totally, yeah. My pronunciation's pretty good just because I've had to listen to it so much. But yeah, no, I can't speak Japanese.
All right. Well, thank you, for your time. I was gonna tell you afterwards when like where I work, but plug your Twitch channel and everything people can follow you, your Discord, all that stuff.
Oh yeah. So my Twitch is literally just Erica Lindbeck. I've only streamed like 3 times, but we've had fun. We're called the Sweaties. All the fans, they call themselves the Sweaties, which I think is hilarious and very on brand for me. The Discord is just Erica Lindbeck's very serious server. And my Twitter's just Erica Lindbeck, and my Instagram's Erica Lindbeck. And I actually did have a really cool game that I'm in called Tell Me Why. It's by Don't Nod Entertainment, and it's the people that did Life is Strange. If that rings a bell. But yeah, that game came out a couple days ago, and I'm a lead character in that. I play Allison Ronan, that one's it seems like it's getting really good reviews, which I'm obviously very excited about. I've been working on that game for like 2.5 years, so it's really cool to see it finally out. But yeah, that's it. You can just find me basically on any social media. I think I deleted my public Facebook page, but that's negligible. So yeah,
people don't use Facebook anymore.
No, they do not.
But cool, yeah. Follow her. I was gonna do this at the top of the show, but just if you're not familiar with Erica, like just the amount of work you've done, like just wiki it. There's just such a long list. Final Fantasy.
Do you want me to say a couple things that I've been in?
Go for it.
Okay, I'll just start. Hello, my name is Erica Lindbeck. For those of you who don't know, I do voiceover, and some of my roles include Jessie in Final Fantasy VII Remake, Luna in Hell of a Boss. I am Talia Zoe and the Morgana rework in League of Legends, Black Cat in Spiderman PS4, Futaba Sakura in Persona 5. I did Barbie for a while. That's all I can remember right now. But that's them.
Oh yeah, Thundercats.
Cassie Cage in Mortal Kombat 11. I don't know why I forget that one. That's a
Cassie Cage, Mortal Kombat 11.
Cage, baby.
I love that game. I've always been a big Mortal Kombat fan, so it's awesome that.
One of my favorite gigs I've ever done. They legit just like let me go in and do what I want. And I think I add words, I add curse words, and they're like, we can keep it. It's fine. They're great. I love them.
Yeah, I can imagine like, I cursed there, and they're like, yeah, well, we're also like decapitating people and splitting them open. I think it's fine.
Yeah. Cassie's an asshole, which is very close to my natural personality. Works great.
Well, thank you so much for your time again. Thank you for taking time out of your day. Thank you for talking to me, and it's been fun. Like hopefully once things kind of open up again, we can all hang out. Maybe Josie.
Yes,
Josie's been talking about moving over here forever. Hopefully he does.
I hope he does. Josie Devora, my baby. I love him.
Yes. If you all are watching, you don't know who we're talking about. Rooster Pop. Go to Rooster Pop on Instagram. He's an artist, does some amazing work, and
he's made a bunch of prints for me. He's great.
Awesome. Yeah, he's great. So follow him, pick up some merch, support artists during this time.
Yes.
All right. Well, cheers.
Awesome.
Yeah.